Are you guys ready for a new adventure? So for the past 10 years, I have actually created over 10,500 YouTube videos as we span across Minecraft worlds, dive after wobble dogs, have adventured so much in Wolf Quest and a ton of other video games, and I have picked up the role that I created of Siri the Pixel Biologist. I had no idea that years ago, 10 years ago, when I really wanted to have a new way to share my legacy family from my Sims 2 Let's Play, which is a big throwback for some of you, that it would end up evolving into my entire career, and it would end up affecting hundreds of thousands of people in the world, which, as somebody who's extremely introverted and used to be exceptionally painfully chronically shy, I never predicted for myself. But the adventures of the last 10 years have helped me grow so much. And when I look back on that time, I am so grateful that I have over 10,000 episodes to represent that growth. And it has been a really powerful, sometimes scary, but overall amazing thing to have kind of grown up together with a lot of you, to have gone from being very young and trying to figure out what to do after flunking out of college for the second time, and then piecing together a life that has been vibrant and colorful that is full of feeding giraffes in real life, that has hundreds, literally thousands of examples of using my creativity and storytelling in ways I never dreamed, and being able to like share it with people. What? And my mom often jokes that if I had gone back in time and told her that I would end up having my career being playing video games, she probably would have grounded me for a month. So yeah, that just boggles the mind. But what I really wanted to talk about here is how grateful I am that I captured that journey together with you guys. Not only for sharing it with everyone, not only for the completely unexpected effect that it ended up having on so many people. I have binders full of fan mail that makes me cry on a regular basis in such a good way, but also because you can see the growth. You can see the first few episodes when I was super shy. You can watch the special Oregon Trail video that I have where I start talking about this guy that I kind of had a big crush on, that I met on OkCupid, and I don't know, he seems really cool. He's kind of sort of my big crush. And then here we are 10 years later, and I've been married to my husband Chips for 2 years, which is kind of amazing. And you can see all of that growth. My sense of self-confidence started emerging. I was able to be more of an advocate for my health. I was able to be more of an advocate for the things I'm passionate about in life through the lens of creating our content for the Pixel Biology channel. And I think it's one of the most powerful and beautiful things I've ever done. And it also is the hardest thing I think I've ever done. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I've lost 250 pounds over the course of my life. I have had to face flunking out of college twice and picking myself back up after that, even though I was straight A, AP student all through high school. I have had to work through a horrifically abusive relationship and bounce back somehow. You don't really bounce back, you kind of rebuild a completely new self after something like that. And so all of those things were really hard in my life, but showing up every day for 10 years to really make yourself create, even when you don't feel like it, even when like your heart is broken about something, even when I didn't know what the future would hold, and especially back when I first started and didn't even know that YouTube could be a career. I didn't turn my AdSense on for almost 2 years because I didn't know that was an option in YouTube. being able to give myself years worth of challenges of what to record and seeing myself rise up to that occasion again and again and again, and being able to look back on the projects I didn't finish, but at least I tried showing up for. All of it overall, when I pull back and look at it, I wouldn't say it's maybe the hardest thing I've ever gone through, but it is the thing that I proactively went through, the biggest thing that didn't just happen to me, but the biggest thing I have actively done. And with that in mind, I realized it's time. It's time. Don't worry, it's still time to make more adventures. I actually have now that I'm past my like big goal of reaching 10,000 videos on our channel, I kind of have set a new lifetime goal of 25,000 videos for the main channel. So we'll see how that works out. But I realized it's time for another different life goal. If I find so much awe and pleasure and a sense of joy and surprise and deep, deep satisfaction that built its way deep into my bones from being able to show up as Siri and create all of those adventures for our gaming channel, I really want to start showing up as Sage, which is my real name for those of you guys who don't know. And I want to start having our wild Sage adventures here. I want to start vlogging my life more proactively. And that's kind of hard to do because vlogging is completely a passion side project for me. There is no bill that is paid from the vlog channel. I don't do sponsorships like ever, unless it's Frontier and Planet Zoo because they let me feed giraffes once. And I am gonna have to learn how to make the time to celebrate myself and to give myself some fun challenges that expand something in my life outside of work. And that's not easy when it takes a lot of work to keep our Pixel Biology channel going. We're not a huge gaming channel, but I love making a quantity of content so that we can keep everything floating. But I think if I've learned anything from the main channel and the work I've done over there, is that there's a lot of worth to be had in trying to show up and giving yourself a bit of a focal point, a challenge. And so I don't want to like add more work to my life, but I do want to just get myself kind of hyped and motivated and focusing on things here, on wild Sage adventures, on being able to set space and time aside for the things that I'm passionate about outside of my work. Things like books, a lot of books. I am an avid reader and I have been suppressing that for way too long and want to share it with you guys. Things like all of the amazing, beautiful nature walks that my husband Chips and I go on. Just the art projects I did, like dab into, the delicious vegan food that my husband and I make. Just the other aspects of life that I think are going to be really magical to look back on, so that I can see where I was and how I grew in another 10 years. And if I never sit down and I never imperfectly, messily, chaotically make time to try to put together a messy, chaotic, imperfect vlog set so that I can have those little bits of that snapshot of time, of the color of my life at that moment, then I'm not gonna have anything to compare against in 10 years. I'm not gonna see the actual me growing. And that's what I really want to do. I really want to set the tone for this Wild Sage adventure, not only to celebrate the actual adventures we go on, but to also give you guys some studio vlog sort of days where it's the interesting behind the scenes of what it is like to be a video game creator video game YouTube creator, I should say, a Let's Player. I don't create video games, but if I did, it would probably just be Stardew Valley all over again, maybe with magic. But yeah, if I never get started, even if it's messy and imperfect, I'm not going to have anything to reflect on. And if I also have learned anything in the course of all the adventures we've had as Siri the Pixel Biologist, is that there's a lot more joy to be had in sharing the journey than I ever anticipated, if for no other reason than the very first person to see what you do, the very first person to like what you do, the very first person to comment on what you do is actually yourself. And if you do it enough, then you realize that as you use content creation, as you use videos and picture and art and everything else as a lens to be able to see your life, then you start to celebrate those parts of your life more. At least that's how it works for me. So onwards to a new adventure with Wild Sage as we dive into refreshing my vlog channel. I'm going to be doing a lot of cleaning. There are very ancient vlogs here that might be unlisted, but I'll try to make a little playlist so you can find them if you want to see like 10 years ago me. And we're gonna step into a new era together. It's gonna be awesome. So one of the things we're going to do this summer is try to make 1,000 paper cranes, but not just any kind of cranes. These cranes are going to represent different tasks I have done. They're also going to represent just different happy things that have happened, or being able to go ahead and like make a little bit of progress on some of my projects. Each stage of that gets to turn into a crane, and sometimes just if it's a beautiful day, if I saw vanilla or albino squirrel that I need to introduce you guys to, or if I'm just had something unexpected and happy happen to me, like the beautiful fan art that one of our wonderful patrons, Librarian, just created and shared with me in our Patreon Discord today that I have blown up on my desktop that makes me kind of get teary-eyed every time I look at it. That becomes a crane. That becomes a crane that goes into a bunch of applesauce jars that my beloved husband Chips is doing his best to eat his way through as fast as possible, because we've been filling up a lot of cranes, and that makes me so happy. Because if you guys don't know me, historically, I really struggle with giving myself any credit for the things that I do. That is one of the things that I'm hoping being able to relaunch this vlog channel and really make the time and the purpose and intention to celebrate life as we find it and the things we've actually done will help me do, is just appreciate that my to-do list will always be burning to the point that that is a running joke in our streams and over in our Patreon Discord. We even have an emoji of a to-do list that is on fire. I am one of those people who is so fascinated and curious about so many different things that my interests are all over the place. And that means that my projects sometimes don't make it to completion, to say the least. And historically, when I have tried to sit down and do some of those like planning for the quarter, planning for June, planning for July, I end up staring at a list of things that I didn't get done and focusing on that instead of what my beloved husband Chips has always tried to point out, all the adventures that actually happened. Almost every single adventure that has ever really meant something to my life, or just every single sweet moment that has added up into becoming a joy day, has been unscripted, has not been on the to-do list, has not been something that I thought in my quarterly plans or yearly resolutions would happen. I honestly can't think of anything that has left like a resonance and echo of joy in my life that I have purposely set out to do, to plan and predict, and it actually became like the big adventure of my life, other than maybe trying to do 10,000 videos, like a few little things. But the stuff from like month to month, I have learned I cannot do monthly planning. It's just not going to work. So instead, what I want to do is celebrate any kind of progress, celebrate any kind of effort, celebrate the moments where I may not have made the effort or I may not have like librarian giving me the fan art. I didn't do that, but something good happened to me. And the way we're doing that is with a idea that my beloved husband Chips gave me, and that is making cranes. So every time there is just something that adds color into my life because I accomplished a project, because I made a little bit of progress on something that was hard for me, even though on a to-do list it probably shouldn't have looked hard, or there was just a moment of joy, I write that down on a crane, or on a piece of origami paper, I should say. I took a bunch of origami paper and I cut it up into fourths, and then on the back I write down the things that I want to try to get done. And I have a pile of cut origami paper just sitting next to my colored pencils now, so that if something unexpected and good or fun or beautiful happens to my day that added color into my life for this summer, I write it down on the back and fold another crane and add it into the applesauce jars. And this has already transformed the last month of my life so much, because before, and even just a year ago, I was very much a person where all of my old journals, you can find all of these checklists that I would make of, okay, so I'm gonna get this done this month. And almost all of those lists have no check mark next to them. And I would get caught up in looking at those empty check boxes and going, oh, I guess I didn't do anything. I guess I didn't try hard enough. I guess I didn't have anything happen that time. And that's not true, because like I have piles of joy journals where I was manually writing down all the happy things that happened in the day. So clearly something was happening. And now with these cranes, I am celebrating life in a new way. I love being productive. I'm just going to be honest about it. It's not for everybody. I'm not encouraging the toxicness of productivity. It's who I am. I've accepted that there's a part of me that loves things happening and loves to do projects. And now, in this last month of trying out making cranes instead of to-do lists and checkboxes, I have been so happy. I have the cranes to be able to create organically if something happens that was unexpected. I have cranes that I don't know if I will ever complete because maybe the project has moved on, but I keep them to the side to revisit if I need to. But most of all, I have a jar full of color that reminds me that I have put a lot of effort into these months, even if my check boxes are empty. And that has just been giving me a lot of joy. So the thought is, let's see if we can try to make 1,000 paper cranes by the end of the summer. I don't think we're going to be able to, but it's good to shoot for the stars, right? And every time we make 50 cranes, we actually put them on a garland of their own and hang them from the ceiling. So right here we already have the first 100 cranes that I have made. I have brought them into life. I have folded them. I have gone ahead and put them on a piece of string that now hang from the ceiling. And every time I look up, I just see how much color has already come into my summer. Even if my to-do list is going to definitely catch fire and I will never be able to catch up with all of the projects I want to do. It's messy, it's unscripted, but it's just a really joyful, colorful life, and I'm really excited to have you guys along on the journey.